Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from the Trucks gas station here in Canaan, New York, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your hosts, Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show and welcome to Makeover Monday. And I'm doing my Makeover Monday in the snow. That's my thing. We have about 5 inches of snow. My internet's down, so I'm pulling into the local gas station where I've hosted many. This has become like a holy spot because
It's been a while.
We speak the Bhagavatam here, so
Yeah.
love has become a holy spot and a place of pilgrimage. In a while, I'm looking for a vegan trucker to pull up in his 18-wheeler.
He said he won't be there till the afternoon.
Vegan trucks, you left me down today. It's our Makeover Monday day, you guys. Whatever you're going through, you can add some positive choices to your life. You know what they say? It's like to break habits. It's like a rocket ship taking off. All the energy is in the takeoff. You know that? Most of that, once it breaks through that initial thing, that's where all the work is. That initial cutting of a bad habit takes the hardest amount of work. And then it becomes easy. If you've ever done a cleanse or ever like working out or jogging or yoga, it's like, the first few times it's like, this stinks. I hate this. My body's not made for this. Day 3, day 4, day 5, you're like, this is normal. You change normal and you upgrade normal. And that's what this show, I feel like, is about. We're trying to bring ourselves to higher and higher levels of our physical health, of our conscious health, of our emotional health, and of course, of our spiritual health. And this is why we gather here every morning. Practicing positive addictions, if there's such a thing as that. Positive addictions. Addicted to higher things. Would you say that's a good... Can you say positive addiction, Kaustubha?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, you get it. What is called rati. You get some taste for something, and then you get some attachment for it. But if it's an attachment to something good, then your mind becomes your friend rather than your enemy, right?
There's these great verses from the second chapter. You know what I'm
Bhagavad
talking
Gita?
about, right? Yeah, where it all starts, where these deep-rooted bad attachments start. Can you name that verse I'm thinking of?
Oh, Dhyayato Vishya Pungsa, that one?
Yeah.
By contemplating the objects of the senses, one develops attachment
for
them.
It starts with where we're meditating on. And this is, Kaustubha said this to me very poignantly one day too. Whatever you're meditating on, that's what you're going to get. So you got to be careful. And everybody's meditating. And wherever that mind goes and it's holding something, it could be greed, it could be lust, it could be anger, it could be your enemy, it could be Donald Trump or Joe Biden. Whatever your mind is holding, that's going to start to consume you. That emotion behind it. And it starts with the senses, just meditating. And then from that meditation, Dhyayato Vishayam Pumsha, you become Sangas Teju Bhajayate, right? You become attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you become attached and it starts to consume you. And then you want to start acting on that attachment, right? And when your attachment cannot get that, and then karma arises, your desires arise. And then if you can't fulfill your desires, then you become frustrated, you become angry, and then your anger consumes you. And so this is like a big part of breaking our bad habits is careful what you meditate on a regular basis. So we're just trying to replace the meditation in our morning class with meditate on Krishna, meditate on spirit, meditate on divinity. And it does. Without even saying, hey, stop eating that, stop doing this, stop smoking that. You don't even have to say those things. Once you start meditating on Krishna, I find that those things they just go ill together,
Hmm.
right?
They pale in comparison.
They pale. They pale. That's the way to put it. They pale. Uh, everybody good? Everybody good?
Yeah, well, but I think we should all just keep one of our friends in mind today.
Oh, Danny is going through chemo today. So Danny
That's right.
Kozakowski, we're gonna say a Hare Krishna Maha mantra for you today. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Ah, I tell you, the material world is tragic and beautiful,
Hmm.
and we're trying to use this whatever we got is the yoga system. We take whatever we got and we try to see what is Krishna dealing, or the universe giving me today, and how can I put that in spiritual perspective? How can I see whatever I'm going through with the spiritual goggles? And that is, I think, the gift of the Bhagavatam. It really teaches. I mean, you hear it in a meme. It doesn't happen to you; it happens for you. You hear that in a meme,
Yeah,
right? But is that how you pronounce it? No one ever came out and told me how to
I think
pronounce
it's
it. Is
meme.
it
Yeah,
Mimi? Is it a Mimi?
it's a meme.
Are you sure?
I'm
Who
almost
came
sure.
up with this?
Mara,
Who
what do you
makes
say?
up these words?
Mara,
Like,
what is
why
it?
don't they ever
It's
tell
correct.
us? If they're gonna make it up, at least put the phonetics up there. I'm walking around saying Mimi for months until my 9-year-old corrects me. I don't even have a 9-year-old. Anyway, we're gonna say a prayer for everybody going through some hardships. Hardship comes in all different flavors in the material world. All right, so we are recapping Kaustubha. We're
We
still
are.
recapping Canto 1 and 2, which I actually find fun.
Yeah, I'm into it. Even if it takes us 5 days or whatever, we're already 2 days in. Let's just do it, right?
I feel like I'm really learning the sequence and the order better and better.
Yeah, me too. I kind of feel it crystallizing a bit more.
All right, so where did we leave off, my friend?
We left off. I think we left off. Mara, help! I think we left off at
I was at
upon.
the airport, so I'm not really sure.
Oh, right, right. Okay, so, okay. We did the Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. I know we did that, which is chapter 11. And I think we talked about the birth of Emperor Parikit. And then Dhritarashtra quit home. We did that, right? You with me, Raghu?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's I made a quit home comment.
yeah, we did. Yeah, the quitting home. We definitely did. So then 14th is the disappear. Okay, so this is where we're at. We're chapter 14.
All right, let's do our magic mantras first.
Okay.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya, bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Mandatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance without any knowledge, and my teachers have come into my life and removed the cataracts from my eyes, which were keeping me blind. I still haven't come up with a definitive translation of that I
Okay,
like.
we'll get it. We'll get it.
I'm working on it. Okay.
Yeah, so we're on chapter 14, which is the disappearance of Lord Krishna. This is, 14 is mostly just a list of Yudhishthir. He's sitting in Hastinapur,
Hmm.
and and his brother Arjuna has been away for a while, and he's due to be coming back. But meanwhile, Yudhishthir is witnessing all these inauspicious omens, right? One after another. You
What's
know something's going on,
yes,
right?
something's up. Yeah, and he's getting like nervous, pretty,
Yeah, yeah.
some type of anxiety.
But it's one of those chapters where, I mean, there's interesting inauspicious omens. I forget all of them, but the whole list of,
Coyotes howl, earth trembles, thunderstorms, comets,
yeah, they say
meteor
when
showers. It's all those things that Americans like. Oh, there's a meteor shower tonight. Let's lay on the
this
back
is
hill
great.
and watch it.
Yudhishthir's like, oh
No,
no.
no. It's an eclipse. How beautiful. Let's all watch the eclipse. All the Hindus are jumping in the Ganga. No.
And things like, they say when, I think it's, and I always mix this up, but I think it's when the left side of the body of a male kind of
Look
throbs,
that one up, Mara. The left side of the body trembles.
and then for the female, so it's inauspicious when it's on one side for the male, and it's inauspicious when it's on the other side for the female, right?
When we say tremble, we mean like you get a twitch in your left eye or your
Yeah, you
right.
get a little twitch, something like
Yeah,
that. So he's
for
getting
some.
wrong-sided twitching going on has happened, things like that. And so really that chapter just kind of, it's listing inauspicious things, that could be, that are, something's going wrong. And then chapter 15, which is called The Pandavas Retire Timely, that's when Arjuna arrives back.
Hmm.
And he was in Dwarka, which is where Krishna's from, but he had just, you know, witnessed Krishna's disappearance and Krishna's entire dynasty, disappearing. And so it's a real heartbreaker for him. And Yudhishthira kind of felt that was the issue all along. So when he sees Arjuna, he can just look in his face and see, something's very wrong.
Something's very wrong here.
Yeah.
And at
And
that point, you hear sometimes about these people who've been married for years, and after a while, um, one of the partners dies. They've been married for 60 years. One of the partner dies, and very soon they want to die.
Hmm.
Like, or they find they die. They're like only living to be with that other person. It's actually
Mhm.
quite romantic.
No.
But anyway, Yudhishthir is like that as well. He's like, what is the point of me even living? So many people have died in this war. Our Krishna's left the planet. Why do I even want to be here anymore? And then he starts wondering, like, maybe it's time for me to give up the throne and go on pilgrimage.
Yeah, but
And
some really interesting stuff happens even like before that, right? Because when he sees Arjuna's face, he knows something's wrong. He says, "Okay, what's wrong? Did you do this? Did this happen? Was it
right,
this? Right? Did you act undharmically in some way, and therefore you kind of lost all your luster?" But he kind of you can see he kind of knows. He's kind of hoping it's not, but then he says, "Or is it? Or could it be?" That
sure.
Krishna's left.
And Arjuna
And
lost his superpowers as well.
he did, and
That
so
was
then
that was that was a heartbreaking moment for me.
when Arjuna lost his superpowers.
Yeah, where these bad cowherd men stole all the cows and he couldn't defend them.
Yeah, it's even the wives of Krishna were there.
Yeah,
Kind
they stole the women. It was like human trafficking.
I think it all worked out in the end. I think, but in any case, Arjuna, what he does is he says it's it's that Krishna's left. He's crying, he's trembling, and he says and then he begins to list all of his accomplishments. Right, I was able to do this. I defeated Indra in battle. I defeated Lord Shiva in battle. Or at least kind of I fought with Lord Shiva in battle. I accomplished this. I accomplished that. I accomplished all these things. I mean, what a list of accomplishments Arjuna has.
Yeah, he's got quite a resume. What do you do
Yeah.
after that?
And he says, all of this was only due to him. It's because of him,
Oh, man.
right? That we were able to do this. It's because of him that we accomplished that. It was all him. And now look at me. I really have nothing without him. Um, it, it's, but so he's kind of like in a state of destitution, But then he quotes this beautiful verse. It's one of my favorite Bhagavatam verses. I think it's so important, you know. He says, Desha kalarta yuktani hrit tapopas samani, I'm sorry, hrit tapopas samani cha haranti smaratas chitam govinda bihitani me. Do you know what that verse is?
That's Desha Kaler, so it means it's the time,
Time or
place,
circumstances, yeah.
time and the circumstance. But in time, in any circumstance, you should always worship Govinda, something like that.
He says now that he's gone, you know, now that Krishna's gone, right? He says, now I'm attracted to those instructions imparted to me by Govinda, right? And he's talking about the Bhagavad Gita, right? On the battlefield, he received all those instructions because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space.
Wow.
Right. So this is, you know, again, it's like we mentioned that as this first canto is going on, we there are a few chapters that kind of established what bhakti is, and how it's the, you know, how all paths are ultimately meant to lead to that path, and who Krishna is and how he's the source of all the incarnations, all the devas, etc. And then we heard how Vyasadeva was instructed by his guru Narada to directly establish Krishna, you know. And I just one more time, because we always have to say this, we can understand that this is not sectarian in the sense that it's almost like if like Raghunath saw me trying to water a plant and he saw that I was watering a leaf, you know, and I was seeing like that leaf is like the center of it all, and I was trying to, and I wanted to benefit the entire plant, but I was watering the leaf. And Raghunath said, no, you're pouring water in the wrong place. And then I said, no, what does it matter? Wherever you pour water, it all goes to the same place. You know, who are you to come through with your sectarian ideas about where I should water this? If one leaf is the same as the other. And you said, but there's a root to it all, right? And you have to water that root. And when you water that root, then every leaf benefits. So what Narada was telling Vyasadeva was, you need to directly glorify that root, Sri Krishna. And then he goes and Kunti establishes Krishna as the root, you know. And then Bhishma establishes Krishna as the root. All our favorite characters, Vidura, Narada, right? They're all doing that. And now Arjuna is doing it, right? Now Arjuna is saying, the very root I feel disconnected from. But then he says, but actually there's still one connection. Those instructions that he gave, the Bhagavad Gita, you know, by hearing those instructions, he's just as present, you know, and that's where he's finding his relief in this really difficult circumstance.
You know, your point is also super relevant because, first of all, if most people, especially in India, have read Mahabharata, there are archetypes of good and archetypes of evil. And when you hear these people who've represented good, and they're all saying, Krishna is my Lord, Govinda is my Lord, you know, we can't help but want to hear from them and respect their opinion. And this is like a huge part of bhakti. Where does faith come from? Faith comes from association. And your faith comes from people who have traversed this path, and they're doing pretty good on this. They're walking this road, and they're doing pretty good on this road. And I think it's safe to say all of us have met a devotee who's been walking on this path, and we respect something about them. We respect their intelligence, their depth, their sense control, their wisdom they carry with them. And we say, you know what? I want what that person has. I see Mara. I see how she works in this world. I want to be like Mara. Stuff like that. So we look up to them, and then we hear from them. And this is what's going on by reading sacred literature, is we're hearing from people who've already walked down this road. And some of the things they say are very, very practical and relevant. And some of these things are like almost like otherworldly and like, really? But okay, I trust you. And we're slowly, it's slowly changing us, these small increments of faith. And that's what people have to also remember. We're not asking you, just trust Jesus, just believe. No, if you just believe it, that's blind following. I've never really been asked in my bhakti path to just blindly accept. It's always with this idea of discernment. Like, what makes sense to you? Does any of it make sense to you? Well, I
Right.
understand that I should control my senses. Okay. Oh, I understand that I'm not this body. Okay.
Let's
Okay.
build on
Move
that.
forward. Move
Yeah.
forward now.
Right. Right. You know, I love what you're sharing, and you know, in this point, right at this point where Arjuna says, you know, although I'm suffering like crazy right now, although it appears like I've lost everything, you know, because imagine, you know, like they have these athletes, right? They're great athletes, but then like they start to grow old and they just can't compete, and they're used to like stepping out into that arena and
Right.
everybody's cheering for them and everybody's glorifying them, and now they start to lose that power. You know, it's like I'm losing everything, you know. And
Yeah.
Arjuna was still more glorified, you know. And but then he says, but when I remember those instructions you gave me, that's giving me relief. And then there's a series of verses. Maybe I can read these verses, but I think they're so relevant to our, you know, our wisdom of the sages family, and how we gather daily, and why we gather daily. And so these verses talk about the effect, you know, just in a 3-4 verses or so, the effect of regular hearing. So after Arjuna says that, now I'm attracted to those instructions imparted to me by Govinda, Krishna, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. Right? So then Sutta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in great intimacy of friendship, and thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and freed from all material contamination. Arjuna's constant remembrance of those lotus feet of Sri Krishna rapidly increased his devotion, and as a result, all the trash in his thoughts subsided. Right? This is what we're trying to do, right? And then
Yeah.
it says,
Got some trashy. I got some trashy thoughts I'm working on.
take the
I'm
trash
working on
out.
taking out the trash.
Take out the trash. So then, because of the Lord's pastimes and activities, and because of his absence, it appeared Arjuna forgot the instructions left by Govinda. But factually, this was not the case. And again, he became the Lord of his senses. Because of his possessing spiritual assets, the doubts of duality were completely cut off. Thus, he was freed from the three modes of material nature and placed in transcendence. There was no longer any chance of his becoming entangled in birth and death, for he was freed from material form.
They
That
say
was,
trash, right? They say trash in
it
there.
said, that's how Prabhupada
It's
translated
such a
trash.
great word because
Trash.
everybody knows what trashy thoughts are.
Uh-huh.
They're just stinking thinking. It's just like such, you keep it in your mind. You
Yeah.
contempt and envy and anger and fury and road rage and revenge and just, you know, low breed, low, low born lust, all that's, it's just trashy thoughts.
Yeah.
And you know what? I really want to surround myself with saintly people on a regular basis, just because you could die at any time. I want to be around saintly people who want to talk me out of my body when it's time for Raghu. I want you all. I want the whole wisdom of the sages posse to be there. Everybody, all of you guys. I have them looking around. Bhakta Matthew, I want you there. Richard O, you're gonna be there, chanting in my ear. Joshua Moody, I want David Charles Wilson. All you guys just chanting for me as I leave the body.
What about the ladies? Can Lady Di be there? What
Of course, Lady Di, she's gonna be dancing in the background and leaving my body.
Good.
You know, King of Hearts, putting Tulsi in my mouth, whatever it takes. I want you guys all there.
So you know, as we've been mentioning, all these great figures from the Mahabharata established Krishna as the Ashraya, that 10th purpose of the Bhagavatam, right? That 10th topic. And now Arjuna does it here, right? It's, hey, you know, Krishna left, my shelter left, but I still found a place to take shelter of him. And that was in meditating on the Bhagavad Gita, meditating on these instructions. And then Sukadev says, and through that, Arjuna was completely delivered, perfect yoga, you know, completely delivered from any of the effects of the modes of material nature, completely freed from the dualities of material life, like that. All right?
Yep.
And so then that chapter ends with Yudhishthir enthroning Parikshit, and saying, I'm ready to go. Right. And so then the following chapters from 16 to 19, which wrap up the first canto, we're going to get to know Maharaj Pariksit. We only know him in the womb so far, and the we've heard the prophecies, the astrological readings about how great he'll be.
Sure.
But now we get to hear about his character, so that throughout the entire Bhagavatam, when we're hearing his questions, it's not just some guy asking these questions, right? This is Pariksit.
Chosen child.
Yeah, the grandson of Arjuna, the one who dealt with the age of, who dealt with Kali, the one who protected the earth, who protected Dharma, who kind of rid the world of the negative influence of Kali. That's who we're talking about.
He's
And
got no
so,
father either, right?
I'm sorry.
Uttara is the mother, correct?
Uttara
Is the mother of Pariksit.
is the mother of Pariksit, yes.
And Uttara Kumar, the one who was the father, he was the one that was killed in the battle. He was the son of what was his name?
No, Abhimanyu was killed in the battle. Is that what you're thinking? His father.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Uttara's brother. Yes.
Yeah.
Abhimanyu was killed. Yes, this was sort of fatherless also.
I'm sorry?
He's
Pariksit?
fatherless also then.
Well, he had a mother. He had Uttara as his mother.
Yeah.
But he lost his father.
Lost his father.
Right. And who would have naturally been taking up the leadership, but now that falls onto him. And so chapter 16 is a very fascinating chapter. How Pariksit received the age of Kali.
Oh yes, right. This is the one about the earth and Dharma, the bull.
Yeah, it's what a fascinating. Now you see. So again, Kunti, Bhishma, etc., Arjuna, all established as Krishna as the Shraya. Now the earth personified is going to establish Krishna as the root, as the Shraya, as the shelter.
I love how the earth manifests in the form of a cow.
And Dharma personified in the form of a bull. I was thinking this morning when I was thinking about it, I was thinking that, I think to a lot of Western people, they're like, what's the fixation on the cows?
Yeah. Right? Why not anything else? Why the cow? Why worship a cow? Why is a cow your god? Yeah, say that. We say that all the time.
Your god.
Drives people crazy from other religions.
Yeah, but like in America, like people are fixated on the dogs, and and hey, dogs are like they're full of life and personality, and they're great.
Right? People in India love dogs too.
Not the same way that they love the cows. Not nearly. Come on.
Yeah, not nearly. Yeah. People love cows.
But people, they love the cows like we love the dogs. Like they're full of personality and character. But there's something much more than that that's really important. And that is that, that the cow and the bull provide everything that a society. If you want to live a dharmic life, if you want to live a life that's suitable for like increasing goodness and purity in the world and that's healthy, both materially and spiritually, then the cow and the bull, they provide everything that you need.
Well, it's one of those things you don't really recognize when you're sort of divorced from nature, but in a very simple culture where you're growing vegetables, the cow dung is incredibly valuable. It makes the soil 80% more fertile. That's huge. I mean, that alone is worth having a cow or a horse, for just the manure. But they use it as fuel. So all over India, you see people collecting cow patties, sticking them on the wall, drying them out, and they cook with them.
Sounds gross to a Westerner.
Sounds gross to a Westerner, but it's different. It's actually different than picking up
different
crap in a
I could tell you a story. You want me to tell you a story about the purity of, okay, anyway, we're there now, right?
We're there.
You want me to tell you a story?
Sounds like you're going there, but I've been there too. And I'm not even ready to mention it, but I can't believe you're gonna, but go ahead.
Okay. Just to tell you, I mean, just to illustrate the difference of it, because in India, they actually use it to purify things, and even they use it to kind of cover floors, indoors and outdoors, and so like a liquefied form of it, right? They kind of spread it, and it dries, and it creates this really nice.
It's actually an antiseptic. People would come.
Antiseptic.
When I lived at Gitanagri Farm, when I was a young man, Hindus all the time would come over and say, "Can we collect your dung? We're cleaning our house."
Yeah.
And it's a way to purify things.
Right.
And some modern science will agree with it as well. It's an antiseptic.
Whereas if you took any other kind of human, dog, whatever
The
kind of, it would be a horrible, horrible.
like the opposite.
Yeah. So remember how we used to do the Navadut Mandal Prikrama? Before I go on, I should say this, that so that to spread it on the floor and do that, they kind of sometimes collect it, in different ways, and they liquefy. They add water and they create like almost like a spread, right?
By the
Like,
way, this is like deity worship. Like some people get it and some people will never get it or
yeah.
don't get it.
Anyway,
I think you're about to lose some Zoomers right now. You're gonna
hang in there. So one day, we were on this Navadut Mandal Prikrama, which was this 9-day camping in the holy places, right? Walking every day, going to different spots. It was
most beautiful
incredible.
thing you could ever imagine.
It
Like
was incredible.
walking through beautiful tropical jungle villages.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't pay a price for this.
Having incredible kirtans, incredible feasts, incredible talks, dancing,
You know what that
singing.
whole thing costed for 9 days?
I don't even remember. No,
$200.
I'm
The
surprised. Yeah.
food alone, the people, Merritt, you would never get food this good.
It was incredible.
The best meals, like 3
Yeah.
meals a day of like things you've never even eaten before. Like, what is this? I've never even seen this vegetable. What is this? It was like that every day, every meal.
Yeah.
And then we'd get to this, then you get to the place and you're visiting ancient temples. It's like breathtakingly gorgeous. Sweet Bengali kirtan is going on. You're not carrying anything because the bullock carts are carrying for you. You're just walking barefoot through these rice paddies and these sugarcane fields. And then at night, you have the evening kirtan feast and kirtan. And then there was these massive tents that people slept in. But me and Kaustubha, we just slept under the stars. Remember that, Kaustubha?
I do remember.
That was great. Sort of
So this was, so we did that for several years in a row in the early 90s. And this one year, I was my group. The first year you and I did it, it wasn't such a big, huge, popular thing. It was like 200 people.
200 people, which is not a lot.
But then the next year it caught on, and it was like
800,
1,200, I think, or something like that.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and so my guru was on it, and he told, like, the first morning he gave me his bag. He said, "You carry this, and you don't ever leave my side." So that was like,
Oh, sweet.
okay. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was his way. It was very sweet. But when he says it, it's almost like you're getting an order, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like a military thing. You don't leave my side. That's it. And
That's where I would immediately just sort of like wander off by mistake. Never leave my side. Just
did I
like
tell you?
around.
So I had to be on the ball. With him, you had to really be sharp. You really had to be together. And that meant I had to wake up before him, be dressed, be 100% ready to go, before everyone, really, right? So it was like, it was very early one morning. It's dark out. I don't know. It was probably, I don't know what time it was, very early.
I mean, you're already like camping out. So you got to like figure
Yeah.
out stuff in the dark. It's before you have before cell phone. So you got to find your flashlight.
Yeah.
You got to take a bath.
Well, that
You're
was
like
the
in
thing.
the middle of a field. Where are you going to take it? You got to figure out where to bathe.
So they had
you
this
know.
thing, which is like this big tank that's kind of suspended in the air, and then it had like maybe, the four sides are like maybe 10 spigots on each side, right? And everyone would go there to get the water. So people would go there to collect water to bathe and to collect water for whatever they needed for.
I just have to share with Mara. You got to understand, Mara. Like we were like basically camping out. Kaustubha looked so clean,
Wait to hear the
well
story.
groomed, well shaved. His dhoti had perfect pleats.
Come
in
on,
it.
you're exaggerating.
I looked like a homeless man. I was unshaven, dirty, stained. I hated washing my clothes in a bucket.
You had your method was you just get it wet and then you'd hang it up.
I would just dip it in water and throw it in a tree. That's how I would wash it.
So anyway, I'm getting up before everybody's up, but that big tank with the water and like maybe 40 spigots around it, everyone had used it the previous evening, so all the ground around it was muddy and very slippery.
Oh
right?
no!
Yeah, and so I went out there with my, before anybody's awake, I go out there with my little suchi kit, my little toothbrush and and toothpaste and whatever.
That's Krishna speak for a little toilet
travel bag or something. What do they call it? A little whatever.
It
Whatever.
keeps they're Suchi and Muchi clean.
Yeah,
And
you're for your toothbrush and that kind of stuff. So I went out there with my little sushi kit, and I got my water. I bathed there, um, and I was about to go back and get dressed. Um, or I did go back and I got dressed.
slip in the mud.
No, 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 no.
No.
So I went back, I got dressed, and then I realized I left my sushi kit there.
Mm.
Right, and now I'm all dressed. I'm clean. I got clean. You know, you only got one chance to have clean clothes, because if you mess it up now,
Well, you only
you're
have
stuck
one
with
set of clothes. You don't
Yeah.
have a closet full of clothing. You have a clean dhoti and
Yeah.
a dirty dhoti. The
Yeah, one to hang
dirty
up in
ones
the
you want to
afternoon
wear.
to wash.
You have two sets of underwear, the clean ones and the dirty
Yeah.
ones.
So now I realize, oh, I left my sushi kit. I have to go. You know, and when you're serving someone like Tamal Krishna Goswami, it's like you're just trying to do everything right. You know, so like, okay, now I'm dressed, I'm clean, I'm ready to go, and then, oh man, I left my sushi kit. So I said I got to go back and get it. But
Let
now
go.
I'm dressed and I'm all clean and
Yeah.
everything. So and that mud was slippery, right?
Yeah.
Super, not just like slippery, like super slick,
It's like
slippery,
clay.
crazy slippery. Yeah, like
Yeah.
clay, exactly. It's like wet clay. And so I walked through it very carefully, trying not to fall in the mud, because if I did fall in the mud, I'd be completely covered in mud. And I got to my sushi kit. I was like, okay, I'm half done. And then I realized, you know what? I don't need to go around. I don't need to go back the same way. There's a way I could go around and avoid all this slick clay. You know, and everything's like hardly lit, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, okay, I saw like I could walk a little bit around this way, and there's this raised platform that's like pavement.
Hmm.
And so I walked over there, and then I was putting one foot up on that elevated platform. I had to kind of jump up a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm jumping up onto a higher platform. And I jumped up, and my foot just sunk into it.
Hmm.
And it was almost like quicksand. Then I got pulled in. Then my other leg got pulled in.
What?
I was up to my waist.
In quicksand?
No, in liquefied cow dung.
What?
Yeah.
You stepped into a cow dung?
It was like, you know,
bathtub?
they had, you know, it was like a cement kind of square little, that's where whatever local person, that's where they would keep it, you know, for spreading on the walls and on the floors
This is
and all
something I would do. I
that.
can't believe you did this. I've never heard this story.
I was up to the waist in it. I was like, oh man, you know, you're trying to do everything just right, and then, but my point being that if I was in the vat of any other kind of dung, it would be entirely unbearable, right?
I'm in a vat of dog dung.
Yeah, it would be. So, any case, how do we get there? Oh yeah,
No,
the
but I'm
cow,
ready to
the
tell
bull.
the story about my daughter and the guy covered in cow dung.
Oh, that one was too much. You did tell that story before. Yeah,
That's a good story. Come on.
it is.
Oh, let me tell it. I'll tell
All
it.
right.
quick. All right.
Today's cow dung stories.
Yeah, more. We're just gonna elaborate. Every morning at 5 a.m. we'd have our morning sangha to go over to Echo Village, and my kids would sometimes wake up and come with me. But then my daughter got keen at 5 a.m. She could also milk the cows,
Right.
so she started milking every morning. So she told me this story. She's like, she's milking at 5 a.m. and one day
Nobody's there, right? Except
no
the
one's
cows.
there. It's completely empty cow shed. And then all of a sudden she's milking one morning. She hears, hello, hello. And she's looking around. No one's in the cow shed. And she hears, hello, hello, young lady. And I was like, she was like, I didn't know who it was. And then I see a man, a grown adult man, almost naked, but covered in cow dung. His whole body is covered in cow dung. And he's supposedly doing cow dung therapy. And yeah, where he goes, he had like a very, very bad case of like rheumatism where he couldn't walk any longer. Yeah. And he goes, I have full faith in Lord Krishna and his cows to get better. And he was a very wealthy man, and like a very aristocratic man with all these servants. Yeah. And then we met him at breakfast, and he said, yes, I saw your daughter this morning. I was covered in dung.
It sounds crazy, but people that know Ayurveda, scientists who study it, it's antiseptic. It's like you said, it's the ultimate fertilizer. The urine of the cow is the ultimate pesticide.
It's right? The ultimate pesticide. You're trying to get rid of bugs on your plants. You mix some cow urine with water.
Spray it.
Yeah, and spray it. Gets rid of
And,
all pesticides.
and you don't need these horrible chemicals. So we think, oh, they're uncivilized and we're civilized. No, we're the stupid ones that we create harmful chemicals that give us diseases and we spray it
Wrecking
on our food.
killing the
That's
water
like,
table. Killing
that's
the
how
water table.
yeah, kill the water. That's how advanced we are, you know.
Yeah.
So
And then of course there's the milk from the cow. If
there's the
you're loving
milk.
the cow will give milk. The cow will give milk years after it gives birth,
Yeah.
because the person who's taking care, the cow herdsman or woman, is giving love, and it's the love that's releasing the milk. I have a friend who had a cow who was giving milk for 8 years,
Amazing.
just because they had an
A
affectionate
loving
relationship.
relationship. Yeah. Beautiful. So in any case, the cow also, and the bull, they plow the field for you so that all the food that you eat,
Now, if
they,
you live upstate, you get that because everybody's got tractors. Once you
yeah,
get a tractor, you're in the matrix. You've
right.
got hydraulics, you've got diesel fuel, you've got a big
Drilling,
thing of metal.
drilling the earth.
And what do you do with all these? Ever drive by in upstate? They've got these like junkyards, just junkyards of old metal, crappy tractors, trucks. What do you do with all this stuff when you're done?
Yeah.
Like we're like short sight. You're hiking in a beautiful forest and you see a bunch of tires laying there. This is just like what people do.
There's so many reasons to that tractor. The weight of it also crushes the land and makes it less fertile. Whereas the cow and the bull, they have such power, but it's all just focused on these little hooves.
If you think about it, what are you feeding them? You're feeding them the grass, and then they're plowing and fertilizing. They're fertilizing while they're mowing. Come on.
And then after that, you reap the crop, and all that hard stuff is down in the ground, like the hard root of the plant. They just go and they eat it. They take care of everything. And then if you want like lighting in your home, then you like grow castor, so you get the castor oil. They plow the land for you. Then when you need to grind it, they'll grind it for you. They got incredible power for grind. So in any case, the cow and the bull, they're providing. If we want to live a healthy, natural, sattvic, you know, um, beautiful life,
Yeah.
that in India they've recognized that the cow and the bull, they provide this for us, and so therefore they're not only loved just like we love our dogs,
Yeah.
but even beyond that, there's like a reverence for the cow and the bull, a gratitude, a sense of deep gratitude.
It's almost like you really need to do a complete restart on society. Like when we did this pandemic, was sort of a restart. Like, okay, I'm just going to hang out with my family. Okay, and my loved ones. But it's actually, you really need complete collapse for us to really appreciate. I'm serious. You need a complete collapse to really appreciate the bull and the cow, because it's not a quick thing.
No.
Plowing with a bull is not easy, and it's not something that happens like in a moment. Like for example, to mow. I mean, people now and you go to the Midwest, you have one guy sitting in like a tower, and all this stuff is being plowed with like these massive reapers. Like things are done like
Some of them are like super massive machines, like they're like 100 yards wide or something like that.
yeah. It's not, yeah. And so you could have like three guys running this massive 1,000-acre farm. So it's not like a quick fix, but it's the long-term fix. You need teams of people who are working with bulls and working with cows, and you need a community that takes care of cows.
Right.
But it's not gonna. It can't. I think like even in ISKCON, we tried to like institute it, but it's almost like you really need to collapse it for us to, and you got to go a lot slower.
Well,
Life is slower, and
you
that's
know,
what Suffolk life is. It's slower. If you live on a farm, it's
Yeah.
a slower life. You visited Gitanagara, you walk to Mangalartik.
takes
You
time.
got to walk down the dirt road.
Yeah.
Or if you've been to the GEV with us, you got to walk to the temple,
Mhm.
and it's slower pace, not just zipping around. Anyway, dung.
Hey, dung, urine, all of that's everything it
Dung.
provides.
Good morning.
Yeah. So in any case, we may not have time to fully get into this today. We've kind of gone off on a tangent, but what's going to happen is that Maj Parikit is going to see the earth personified in the form of a cow and Dharma personified in the form of a bull, and they're both suffering, right?
Mm.
There's a conversation going on. The earth is Dharma is asking the earth, why do you look so depressed?
Right.
What is wrong? You know, all of these are so pertinent, right? So relevant to the situation that we're in right now, the situation the Earth is in right now, right? And and Dharma begins to list all of the, or Dharma kind of does to the Earth. Uh, it has a similar conversation as Yudhishthira had with Arjuna just in the previous chapter. Like, why do you look so depressed? Could it be this? Could it be that? Could it be this? Could it be that? And Dharma basically lists all the terrible things that are going on in Kali Yuga. Horrible leaders, who have no soft heart to help the people, but are driven by ego and greed. Is it because they've taken over? Is that the problem? Is it that because the family's units have been broken? Just like all this kind of stuff, Dharma goes through, asking the Earth, why are you so depressed? And then the Earth recognizes, all that's true, but the Earth says, Krishna's left, and therefore Kali Yuga is springing up, right? And then she lists 40 qualities of Krishna, right? So now the Earth is establishing Krishna as that Ashraya, and these are the exact opposite of the symptoms of the age of Kali. Right? So now not only all the Pandavas and Arjuna and Vidura and Narada and all of them have established Krishna as the shelter, but now the Earth herself establishes Krishna as the shelter, and she shares her pain of separation from Krishna, and that's the 16th chapter. And then in the 17th chapter, it's like Mars Prickett.
The reward of Kali.
Mars Prickett suits up to deal with Kali, right? And he finds Kali personified in the form of a very low class person. And when I say low class, I'm talking about their behavior, right? A person with low class behavior takes over the rulership, is disguised as a qualified ruler, and he's hacking away at Dharma the bull. Right?
Sure.
He's hacking away at Dharma.
It's got nothing to do with your economic status. You could be very well to do, aristocratic, and low class.
Yes.
Right. We tend to think that low class means, well, he's just poor. No, he could be. There are a lot of poor people that are but very high class. It's your character, really.
Right.
Here's a
That's
person beating a bull.
Yeah. And so what was he beating? He was hacking away at the legs of Dharma. That Dharma stands on 4 legs, right? And what are those 4 legs? Hot seat, Raghu.
Mara, come on.
Mara, passing it over to Mara.
Pass this one to Mara. The 4 legs,
do you know
Dharma.
Oh, truth is the one. Truth
was the one leg that was still there, but even that was like kind of wobbling.
You got a one-legged bull right now. What else you got? She's checking the message board.
Yeah, nobody's helping me out. Nobody's helping me out. Paramananda. Can I get a hint? Any hints, Raghu?
They're related to the 4 regulative principles. Each one is related in one way or another. Austerity, Jolly Lama's got one.
Cleanliness.
Truthfulness and kindness, so you could say kindness like mercy, like that, yeah.
Okay, Nadia's got it.
Yeah.
So
kindness isn't one of them.
Well, kindness, you could say mercy.
Oh, mercy, yeah.
Compassion, like that, yeah. So he sees that the bull is like standing just one leg. Truthfulness is the only one left, and compassion's been wiped out in the age of Kali. Austerity has been wiped out in the age of Kali. Cleanliness has been wiped out in the age of Kali, and truth is just barely standing. And so Maharaj Prickett won't tolerate that. He chastises the age of Kali. The Kali personified takes shelter of him, kind of says, okay, I'm exposed.
Huh? Where can I go? Where can I go?
Yeah, well, I need to exist too. I'm taking shelter of you. Where can I go? And so where does he say?
Vegas.
More or less. More or less it's Vegas. Yeah. He says wherever there's meat eating, wherever there's prostitution, wherever there's gambling, these places you can go. And then he says, but there's not enough of that exist in your kingdom when you're ruling. And he says, then wherever there's gold, right, like that.
I wonder if that means tangible gold, or it just means wherever there's hoarding of.
I think it means like a hoarding of wealth. Right?
Hoarding of wealth.
Yeah. And so Parikka deals with it. He relieves the earth, right? And so this is we're meant to be understanding this. Prabhupada gave so many really great commentaries in these chapters, where it's like, hey, we need to recognize, we need to live with truthfulness. We need cleanliness and austerity and compassion. And compassion means compassion towards the animals, right? And if not, there's going to be massive suffering. And so when you say there's a collapse, in one sense, 2020 was a year of collapse, you know, because of this pandemic, so much economy collapsed, it's psychologically people are collapsing, what's because so many people dying. And we can all tie it back to these principles: cleanliness, austerity, and ultimately, especially, compassion. It's such a super important one. This is really what the bhakti practitioner should be, I think. It's a big part of our mission, is to help the world understand compassion and how that has to extend, not only to how it has to extend to humans where it's really lacking, what to speak of also, to the animals. It becomes very important.
Where should we not live again? Where is Kali?
Yeah.
Kali is where we hoard wealth,
Lack compassion.
Commit animal
Slaughter.
compassion, commit animal slaughter.
Yeah. Intoxication.
Intoxicate.
Yeah.
Want to have a lousy day, lousy life? Hang out in those places.
Want to have a good
better
day?
Life?
Yeah.
Bring in spiritual people, spiritual literature. You can even bring them to a gas station like me. Bring the Bhagavatam to the sacred. You can make wherever you are a place of pilgrimage by adding the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna, and the Bhakti-yogis. It just happens. I'm looking at signs for Dunkin' Donuts, Subways, and diesel fuel.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in a spiritual world. That's the power of the Bhagavatam, people. Thanks for joining us. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Hear the music?
The music, it sounds just like the rhythm. That's all we're getting, but it's kind of cool.
Just getting the rhythm. I don't know what to do. It's hard. It's hard doing this from a truck.
There's a Bhakti Recovery group meeting today. Is that correct, Mira?
Yeah, at 1:00, and Claire Weatherly is back to teaching her 10 a.m. asana class today.
Claire's back. Okay.
Yeah.